you need to prepare your logo. So I choose a logo from Pinterest. You can choose your own logo and import into Illustrator. So in my case, I don't have any Illustrator file for animate this logo, so I just recreate this logo, and you can skip this if you already have a logo. Okay, now you prepare your logo. Now go to window and layer window, and you need to separate these two shapes separately. And if you drop down this layer one, you can see the both shape in separate, but it's not a layer. So we want to make it layer. So go to the properties and release to layer sequence, and select the layer one and just delete because it's empty layer, and rename this layer into logo 1 and logo 2. Next, save your Illustrator file, I mean the logo file, and jump to After Effects, start a new project, and go to file and import your Illustrator file into this project. And very important thing, change the composition, retain layer size, because we need to separate each layer separately. So you can see your logo here. So we need to add a solid, a white background, and make it move downside, and rename this BG because this is the background color, and I just lock this layer. Now we need to convert this Illustrator file into vector shape layer. So create shape from vector layer and just delete the Illustrator file, and I rename this shape layer. Now import your audio and add a marker by pressing star button in keyboard. You can add a marker in by the beats, and now we need to animate this logo. So drop down this logo one and add a trim path, and you can animate the start and end value. In my case, I need to animate the end value. So add a keyframe before the first beat and make the end value 100. Now same thing do in logo 2 shape layer, add a trim path and animate in. Okay, before we need to animate the same time in logo 1. So if you press U button in keyboard, you can get the keyframed values, and J or K, J for keyframed value, J for previous keyframe, and K for the next keyframe. So I just same time add a keyframe at the end and press K, jump to next keyframe and make the end 100. Now select all keyframe and right click in keyframe, right, and keyframe assistant, add a easy ease. Now go to the graph editor and change the graph like this because we want a smooth animation. Now I just change the time of the end keyframe. Now select the all both logo layer and make it pre-compose. Now double click on this pre-compose. You can jump into the pre-compose composition. Now I just press Ctrl K and change the composition name into logo and adjust the composition height and width, because we don't need more size. We need to adjust the as per the logo size. It's not necessary, but if you do this, it's more helpful for your next process. So now we need to add a keyframe in scale. So press S key in keyboard, you can get the scale value and add a keyframe in first bit and make it more bigger. If you scale your pre-compose, you got the blurry shapes. So just tick on this icon and make it more bigger, and go to the second bit, type the value 100 because we need the default size. Now we add a keyframe at the center because we want a smooth zoom. So add a keyframe at the center, make it less scale, and select all 3 layer keyframe and make it easy ease. And if you go to the graph editor, you can adjust the graph for smooth animation, for smooth zoom, and adjust the graph like this. So you can get this nicely animated logo. Now we need to make more interesting. So if you add a motion blur in here and turn on the global, you can get the again smooth animation. Okay, just turn on the motion blur when you render the final output. Now we need to add create a shape, a rectangle shape. So go to the shape layer and create a rectangle more taller, and change the fill into the solid color. And I think before we work with shape layer, we need to change the BG color, BG solid color, change solid setting and make it more gray, and lock it again, and go to the shape layer and change the shape fill color into more white, because we want to see the shape more brighter. And now I just move the anchor point to center using the plugin, and you can use this, but this tool, anchor point move tool, is a nice application, nice plugin for After Effects, anchor point mover. Now we need to animate this shape layer, and just rotate this shape layer and rename. And at the starting, and press P in keyboard for position, and at the third beat make it move like this. And make it downside of this logo composition, and add a keyframe at same. And here make it backside. So you can see First our shape go to forward and check the sometime, then come back to backward, check and come back to backward. Now when it's come back, we need to animate in scale because it's make larger. So at the same time press S key in keyboard and U for the both keyframed animation. You if you press the U key in keyboard, you can get this both keyframe values. And just unlink the chain and make it more width and add a easy ease. Yeah, you can get animation like this. I adjust n keyframe. Yeah, everything is okay. Now you need to animate the same logo. So press the U button in keyboard, and at this time for J for previous keyframe, and at this time animate add a keyframe in logo position, and at the end this time and add a easy is by pressing F9 in keyboard and change the graph. And make it little bit forward the first keyframe because we want to differentiate the position timing. Now everything is okay. Next we want a small another rectangle and make it center of this the anchor point, and change the name into mask because this is our mask layer. And I think rotation is 9, the same rotation apply here and apply the position. I just turn off the snapping and decrease the width. Now we need to mask. I just change the color because we want to see the separately, and duplicate the logo composition by pressing Ctrl D and just increase the scale at the same time of ending. You can use the J or K button and go to the track matte and change into alpha matte. Now you can see only the bigger logo through that a tiny shape. If you animate the shape, you can get like this. So I just animate the mask layer, the mask rectangle, and go to the position, add a keyframe in mask position by pressing P button in keyboard at the ending here. I just adjust the keyframe timing. Now you can get the smooth split layer. Now we need to add a title, so create a text and Ctrl D for duplicate and copy this layer and change the caption. And also I work with my phone and tracking and everything. Now you need to animate this both text at the third bit and add a keyframe in position, and at the end time apply the end position and select all keyframe and press F9 and go to the graph editor and change the graph like this. Now I just change the caption keyframe little bit forward because we want more smooth animation for caption and different timing. Now we don't need to see this text at the starting, so I just copy a slide and move to top side. And one thing, at the end you need to delete the first two keyframe, and I just increase the scale. At the same time of this keyframe you can use J and K button, and at the starting it might be here, and just change the color into red because we want to see the mask separately, and move into the slide the bottom and adjust the mask like this, and delete the first two keyframe. And create a mask, animated mask like this, and select both text and pre-compose and change the name into title, and go to that pre-compose track matte and change into alpha inverted. Now you can see the text only visible outside of this shape. Now if you want to apply any video, the bottom of this caption and title, and import the video and make it downside of this title, and copy the mask layer by pressing Ctrl D and make it top on the video and change into alpha inverted matte. Now you can see the same video outside of this mask layer, and go to effects and apply the tritone effects to the video because we want to make it more brighter, and also apply the level and make it more brighter. You can adjust the video position. And one important thing, you don't need to visible this video at the starting, so add a keyframe in opacity of this video by pressing T in keyboard. You can get the opacity key and add a keyframe starting 0 ending 100. Now you can get a minimal intro. Now export your video, go to compose output will change into QuickTime, and video codec into H.264. If you don't see the H.264, just install the QuickTime player and increase the quality and choose the output location. Okay, and hope you enjoy it. I think it's more faster. I think hope you grab my English and grab my speed. And if you have any doubt, please comment it below. And if you have any video you want to learn, please also comment it below. And have a nice day. Peace.